Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. Get ready for heart-pounding action, thrilling adventures with fresh and unique elements, a touch of romance, and a dash of harem. Everything you're craving is right here. We're excited to have you join us on this journey. So come along to Novel Love Hearing, we're waiting for you. As a small favor, please consider sharing Novel Love Hearing with your friends, family, in YouTube comments, on Discord, Reddit, or anywhere else you hang out online. Happy listening, and enjoy the ride. Chapter 236, Muhi's Death. On the ruins of the inn, Zu coughed up blood, his eyes full of hatred as he looked at Lu Jun. Ever since he arrived in the ancient capital, he had been frustrated and wanted to take revenge on Lu Jun and Ding Yumian. But his soul had been imprinted by a calamity Diastar's mental brand, rendering him incapable of harboring any thoughts of harming the two, and even restricting his abilities in that regard. This only made Zu hatred and anger grow stronger. Just then, members of the Black Vatican took the initiative to approach him. Not only did they help him remove the mental restraints, but they also tempted him with promises of the ancient king's legacy deep in the dark abyss. They said he would be allowed to enter and inherit its power. Zu was tempted, mainly because he knew his family's identity, descendants of the ancient king. Unfortunately, after 2,000 years of chaos, they had relocated their ancestral grounds and forgotten all the details. While he was fantasizing about inheriting the ancient king's legacy and standing atop the world, Lu Jun appeared. Then the Black Vatican's situation quickly fell apart, his fantasy shattered, and he himself was dragged into the mess. Zu growled, "If it weren't for you, I would have succeeded already. Hey, I gave you a chance. For the sake of the Zu family, I spared you once." Seeing this, Lu Jun said coldly, "If you had only targeted me, I might not have been able to do anything to you. But now, you've involved yourself with the Black Vatican seeking your own death." As his words fell, he swung his arm, and a jet black sword light flashed. Puchy. The next moment, a massive bloody hole opened in Zu forehead, blood and brain matter splattered out. His eyes were stunned, and his body went limp, his breath completely gone. Lu Jun would not leave behind any hidden threats. His principle was to root them out completely. Even if the Zu family came, they would have nothing to say. Having dealt with the little insect, he turned his gaze toward Muhi in midair. The other's face turned pale, with thoughts of escaping. But it was too late. Below, Lumai's graceful figure ignited with soaring flames. Her once silky black hair turned a vibrant red, and delicate patterns spread across her fair skin. Alluring and exotic, she looked like a goddess of fire. Rumble. A monarch-level imposing aura burst forth, her terrifying domain covering several kilometers. The entire area turned crimson, fire clouds spread across the sky, illuminating it like a brilliant sunset in daylight. Instantly, golden red fire lotuses rose out of nowhere in all directions. Every member of the Black Vatican and every demon beast they controlled spontaneously ignited, turning to ashes and dust. The high temperature distorted the air. Several high-tier mages, dozens of mid-tier mages, and hundreds of servant-level beasts were instantly incinerated. Their bodies completely burned away. Black-gray ash swirled in the sky. The Imperial mages were startled, thinking some hidden fire elemental monarch had been residing in the city. Only when they saw Lumai's dominant and breathtaking presence did they breathe a sigh of relief and feel this was a super-tier mage. Lumai's whole body glowed like crystal glass, two overlapping silhouettes flickered faintly on her figure. Surrounded by a vast sea of fire, her true form was obscured. She looked at Muhi, instantly scaring the out of his wits. He flapped the wings on his back, attempting to flee. But Lumai snorted coldly and reached out with a gesture. Muhi, hovering in midair, suddenly felt a mysterious, wicked fire ignite in his heart. It rapidly grew scorching and unbearable. Flames spread through his limbs and bones, his internal organs burning in agony. "Ah!" he screamed miserably, coughing up blood laced with crimson flames. Before he could think of a way to suppress it, the heart fire inside him surged uncontrollably. Boom! A loud explosion echoed through the night sky, spreading across the outer city of the ancient capital. Muhi's entire body exploded, transforming into a miniature sun hanging in the air, lighting up the entire city as if it were daytime. Then, countless flames rained down, in silver streaks and sparks like a grand display of fireworks. Muhi was dead. Too domineering. Mo Fan, Zhongxiu, and the Imperial mages were all stunned. No matter how powerful the fire mage they had seen before, all had to bow before her might. Little Flame Fairy even jumped with joy, cheering, "Big sister is amazing." At this moment, Lu Jun took a deep breath. That so-called big shot they once feared and didn't even dare report back in Bo City. Now, in front of the siblings, was as fragile as an ant easily crushed to death. This is what it means to act only when you have the strength to back it up. On this trip, Lu Jun brought Zhong Feng and the Black Serpent along. Even tearing face with Salon didn't frighten him. What a pity. This trap was originally meant for Hueco. He shook his head, but didn't get greedy. With a thought, he extracted a bluish soul from the fire clouds above, like a ghostly moon descending, and absorbed it into the white tiger pendant on his chest. A fine ghost material. Muhi's soul was his. Thus, all the Black Vatican members lurking in Bo City were slain by his hand. Lu Jun's eyes turned distant as he remembered something. Although Yuang was destined to become one of the 8 soul essences for Mo Fan's ascension as the evil Saint King, he had now been destroyed, souls scattered to the winds. But it didn't matter, Mo Fan had no shortage of enemies. Compared to the rest, Yuang wasn't even worth ranking. At the side, Lu Mai retracted all her aura, a satisfied expression on her face. Her golden heartburn domain, especially with Zhang Feng's amplification, had become a complete slaughter tool. Not a single member of the black clergy escaped. The Imperial mages exchanged glances, ready to begin battlefield cleanup. At the same time, a formidable figure descended from the night sky, scattering silver shards across the air. Yao Ting, a super-level space mage, saw the scene and exclaimed in surprise, "Strange, where are the Black Vatican?" An official mage stepped forward and responded with a wry smile, "They were all eliminated by civilian mages." Yao Ting froze briefly, then looked at Lu Jun, Mo Fan, and the others with admiration. Truly, heroes arise from the youth. Meanwhile, at the Magic Association in the clock tower of the ancient capital. Just as Lu Jun was resting, and the inn-holding Fang Gu was attacked, Hanji received the intel. In the dead of night, he summoned the remaining super-level experts still in the clock tower. Zhu Meng had just gone to sleep when he was forcibly awakened. Rubbing his temples, he asked in confusion, "What's going on?" "We're entering the Dark Abyss operation tomorrow. Don't we need rest?" The other super-level experts nearby were equally puzzled. At this, the elderly Hanji sighed and said, "The place where Fang Gu was being held was attacked by the Black Vatican just moments ago. All the hidden members in the city made their move. Luckily, we evacuated the civilians in time. Everyone is now safely in the inner city's protective zone, so there wasn't too much damage. But..." He paused, sweeping his sharp gaze over the 7 or 8 people present. "I have reason to believe that there's a Black Vatican mole among us." Those words shocked everyone, and the atmosphere instantly grew heavy. Hanji shook his head. "I only disclosed the location to you all this morning, and by nightfall, it was attacked." Zhu Meng furrowed his brow and murmured, "That really doesn't make sense. Do you have any leads, President Han?" "I do." Unexpectedly, Hanji replied firmly, "According to our informant, the infiltrator is none other than Salon herself, and it's a woman." The male super-level mages lit up with excitement. This was a huge catch. Of the 7 Red Cardinal leaders worldwide, not a single one had ever been captured. If they were to take down Salon, their names would resound throughout the world. But the only 2 female super-level mages in the room didn't look too pleased. They each turned suspicious gazes on the other. Chapter 237, The Death of Salon. In the clock tower hall, Elder Linksai appeared calm and composed, completely unbothered by being suspected. She calmly suggested, "Is the intel reliable? If we can't determine which of us is the one, should we kill both to be safe?" At those words, the nearby female super mage's expression darkened. No one wanted to be sacrificed for the greater good. Hanji stared deeply at Linksai and let out a chuckle. "Yes, but there's no need to kill both now. The intel source is confidential, but I already know who Salon is. Yi Chang, or should I call you Linksai instead?" The moment he said that, everyone's eyes focused on the female elder from the Hunters Alliance, filled with doubt and surprise. The other female mage, who had just brushed past death, looked relieved. Linksai showed no expression. "So, you suspect I'm Salon?" "That's right." Hanji answered firmly. He had received guidance from Lu Jun, although he didn't know how the information came about. All previous intel had proven accurate, and he chose to trust it wholeheartedly. Don't doubt those you use, don't use those you doubt. A true leader, once assigning a task to a subordinate, would fully entrust it. Unless an irreversible error was made, they would never interfere. Besides, Hanji had a backup plan. There were only 2 suspects, both female super mages. Kill one, temporarily detain the other. If Linksai died and Salon still ran rampant, then they'd deal with the remaining one. The process of elimination could minimize collateral damage while ensuring the true culprit wasn't overlooked. Buzz. 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 The next moment, countless silver patterns spread across the solemn floor of the clock tower hall. A powerful space sealing array suddenly activated. The 4 walls shimmered with an unshakable luster, no spell could damage them. The 7 or 8 super mages present felt an intense spiritual suppression. Their once vast star palace had all collapsed. Zhu Meng was shocked. He hadn't expected Hanji to act so decisively. "Stop hiding, Salon." Someone told me you may be connected to the Dark Plane. You were once the wife of the Parthenon saint. Death isn't your end. Hanji's killing intent surged. This dimensional space is sealed. Your body and soul will both be annihilated. You cannot escape this fate. In an instant, he struck. An overwhelming frost surged, the entire area plummeting in temperature. The void cracked with snapping sounds, and layers of ghostly blue brilliance spread outward. Link's eye revealed a dramatic expression. She could no longer hide. Her body surged with dark aura, fighting against the freezing force that could freeze space itself. Now Salon truly panicked. She had many trump cards and even resurrection methods. She didn't fear death. A fake death could allow her to escape, operate from the shadows again, and regain the initiative. She could wait until everyone relaxed before making her move anew. She hadn't expected Hanji to see through everything and make such targeted countermeasures. Who is it? Salon screamed with hatred in her heart. Boom. As the two clashed, when everyone saw Link's eye using numerous evil and forbidden spells, they finally believed and joined in to help. But Hanji remained as formidable as ever. Master of 4 fully developed super elements. His ice magic was unstoppable. The fierce battle quickly ended. Salon was undoubtedly defeated. The floor and walls of the hall bore the scars of combat. At the center, a woman's graceful figure was encased in layers of deep, ghostly blue frost. Before her beautiful face was completely frozen, Salon's expression twisted with hatred as she said, "Salon is just a name. Even if I die, another Salon will appear. As long as dark faith remains, the Black Vatican will never fall." With that, she fell into eternal slumber, her soul extracted by a powerful super necromancer. Just as her soul surfaced, it exploded with a terrifying dark aura, seemingly trying to open a gate to the dark plane and cross dimensions. But with Hanji's preparations, the space was sealed shut. Once the explosive phase passed, the necromancer crushed Salon's soul. Hanji gazed at the frozen body and the annihilated soul, muttering, "She should be dead. Right?" Beside him, Hunter King Du Zhao, Zhu Meng, and Zhao all looked relieved. They had previously considered capturing her alive, but now, that thought was gone. Someone exclaimed in disbelief, one of the infamous Red Cardinals, ruling the world unchecked. "We actually killed one." Hanji felt a bit surreal too. As he snapped back to reality, a subordinate reported from outside the hall, the entire city's Black Vatican members had been captured. He finally exhaled in relief. The internal threat has been eliminated. Now we can focus on external enemies. But I have some bad news to share. The Conwell water has long since dried up. What? In the inn, Lu Jun was startled. Salon is dead? The battle on his end and the confrontation at the clock tower concluded around the same time, and not long after, this good news was delivered to him. Once the matter of the ancient capital's dark abyss is settled, this news will likely be announced immediately by the 9 provinces, causing a global sensation. The magic associations of the 5 continents, the Holy City, and Parthenon Temple will all send congratulatory messages. China's international prestige and influence will rise tremendously. As for Lu Jun, to protect him, his name likely won't be mentioned. Everything will be sealed away, to be declassified at a more suitable time. However, the invisible care won't be lacking. In the original story, Mo Fan foolishly buried himself in his work and didn't know how to ask for rewards, which all ended up in the hands of bureaucrats. This time, Lu Jun planned to secure an honorary counselor seat in the ancient capital tribunal. It would come with corresponding authority but no real responsibilities, relatively easy and highly prestigious. Salon, TSK. The world line might shift. Lu Jun shook his head, a complex expression on his face. Yi Cheng's true goal was revenge against the powers that had judged Wen Tai back then. But her death didn't mean the subsequent major events wouldn't occur, such as the Parthenon goddess election, the South American rebel armies, and other deeper causes. The Parthenon temple matron clearly knows Xinzai's identity and will definitely stir up this storm again. The tensions in several South American countries will still escalate into war. This is the trend of the world. Without Salon, there will still be other John Does stepping onto the stage. Moreover, in this purge, Lu Jun didn't find Salon's 9 apostles. Chief Hueco and the Black Alchemist, among others, hadn't been confirmed dead. It's possible that this group will inherit Salon's will and continue their evil deeds. Just as Salon once said, darkness is eternal, the Black Vatican will never vanish. Forget it. That's for the future. Lu Jun wasn't the least bit worried. So what if the plot deviated? Strength is everything. He even doubted that Salon had truly died. Her husband, Wen Tai, was the king of darkness after all. Fortunately, his elder sister Lu Mai had Zhang Feng, Tang Yu had the backing of the tribunal's Black Serpent, and Ding Yumian stayed at Pearl Academy. No need to fear the coming storm. At that moment, Ashuria, who had been held captive, also learned of Salon's death. Her expression turned dazed, as if waking from a dream, her emotions extremely conflicted. Lu Jun honored his promise and released her. The dark-stockinged lady rubbed the marks left by the bindings on her body. Her beautiful eyes were full of grievance. She was seething with hatred inside, but she also knew she was no match for Lu Jun now and couldn't act rashly. Very soon, Ashuria concealed all her emotions, her smile charming once again, as unreadable as ever. "Little man, you enjoy tying people up this much? I'll see you at the National Institute competition." Her figure gradually faded, and her melodious voice lingered in the air. Actually, Ashuria hadn't been interested in this year's National Institute competition at all, but after this experience in the ancient capital, she changed her mind. She had to fiercely get back at Lu Jun. Lu Jun didn't care. He began handling the aftermath, walking over to the corpse of Zhu Jiming, his expression unreadable. A direct descendant of the ancient king. Perhaps the reason Zontong was able to retain some of his consciousness under the corrosion of the ancient king's remnant soul had something to do with this. Chapter 238, Appearance of the Dark Abyss. The great battle begins. Lu Jun's lips curled into a smile. With a wave of his hand, he stuffed Zhu Jiming into the curse well. In the hands of a high-level curse mage, control over magic skyrockets. They can manipulate even the blood and body hair of their enemies into countless tricks, let alone a complete corpse. The bloodline of the ancient king's descendant could resist the corrosion of remnant souls. Conversely, Lu Jun could also use it to suppress the ancient king's armor robe. This became the fourth sealing method he obtained. Ding Yumian's Calamity Bearer main soul imprint, the White Tiger Pendant, the sanctification of the light element half Calamity Bearer, Zhu Jiming's blood. With so many weakening methods in hand, if he still failed to suppress an artifact, it would be the biggest joke in the world. Hadn't Fenggu fought bare-chested and nearly reversed the situation? Lu Jun had planned everything out. He had a 10 out of 10 chance of success. At that moment, a guardian mage walked over and said to everyone, "President Han requests your presence." Lu Jun readily agreed. As he was heading toward the outer city, he suddenly felt the ground shaking. Rumble. A deafening roar came from beneath the gloomy sky in the north. Everyone felt a pain in their eardrums, as if an enormous shockwave was crashing toward the city with a magnitude that blanketed the horizon. Immediately, Lu Jun looked into the distance and saw a towering, black-shadowed figure standing upright. A monstrous aura of fiendish and deathly energy surged into the heavens, with black mist blotting out the sun. Even at such a distance, the visual impact of its terrifying body could still be felt. A monarch creature, Ghost Brute Monarch, one of the 8 undead lords. Though it was only a small monarch in strength, it seemed 2 to 3 tiers stronger than the Flame Witch, who was a lesser monarch. In addition, next to this majestic ghostly figure, waves of space-distorting energy swept outward in chaos. In the 10,000-mile night sky, a sudden hole tore open. It stood out starkly, like a missing chunk from the sky itself. On the desolate ground, a black pit collapsed inward, filled with heaps of bloody corpses. No one knew how deep the dark abyss truly went. It was like an entrance to hell slowly opening, or like the exposed esophagus of some gigantic, horrifying creature. Ghost wails, corpse howls, bone cries. The most terrifying and soul-chilling ghostly sounds in this world came from that suddenly appearing dark abyss. It was the pitiful screams of countless terrifying ghosts all crying out at once. True wails from hell. Filled with despair, resentment, and unfathomable agony. The dark abyss had emerged. Lu Jun's expression grew grim. After killing Mu-He, he had searched the body. Several magic tools were burned, but the Nether Soul Stone was nowhere to be found. It had probably already been used. He quickened his pace. The group arrived at the location. Upon the outer city walls, at some point, all the high-ranking figures of the ancient capital had gathered. At the forefront, Hanji stood with hands behind his back. He turned to the approaching group and sighed, "You've come." He spoke flatly, "As you can see, the Black Vatican's Dark Abyss guidance area is continuously operating. It won't be long before it reaches the ancient capital and swallows everything. And to stop it, we must venture deep into the Dark Abyss and interrupt the ancient king's resurrection process." But Hanji's tone grew heavy. "Only the descendants of the ancient king, and those who have bathed in Kunwell water or the Holy Earth Spring, are qualified to enter. None of us super mages meet these conditions. We can only rely on you." At his words, Suzialao, Fenggu, Zhongxiu, and Mofan were slightly stunned. They all met the criteria. The first 2 went without saying. The latter 2 were both part of the Bo City bloodline, born and raised locals. This was something Lu Jun had informed them of beforehand. The Holy Earth Spring and Kunwell water were of the same origin, except the Holy Earth Spring was countless times more potent. Mofan felt immense pressure. The hope of an entire city rested on him, yet he did not waver. Zhongxiu also wore a resolute expression and said, As a soldier, it is my duty to protect the people. I will not fail their expectations. Suzy Olao and Fangu hesitated for a moment. The latter suddenly realized this was an opportunity and said, I can die, but I want Zisang of Hueco undead. He had always harbored deep hatred for Zisang. Hearing this, Hanji decisively said, approved. Zisang had prevented the residents of Yanyang village from evacuating, allowing a group of people to die already a crime. On top of that, his son Hongjun had joined the Black Vatican. A death sentence was perfectly justified. Hanji then said to the group, although the forbidden curse is being prepared, we cannot guarantee it will stop the Dark Abyss. So have you truly made up your minds? All four gave a resolute reply in unison, no problem. To the side, Lu Jun said regretfully, I'm from a side branch of the Lu family, not a native of Bo City. It's a pity I can't go with you. This was a lie. Years ago, he had already laid out this scheme. When Mo Fan was refining the Holy Earth Spring, Lu Jun had secretly siphoned a bit to mask his aura. Just enough. However, regarding the ancient king's armor robe, Lu Jun did not plan to make a big deal out of it. He wanted to follow Fangu's example, sneak in using mental concealment, and keep his trump card hidden. An old acquaintance, Zhu Meng, looked at Lu Jun, seeing the full extent of his regret. He knew Lu Jun possessed a trump card in the curse element able to temporarily summon a lesser monarch creature, no weaker than any super mage present. If he could enter the Dark Abyss, the entire operation would be under full control. Mo Fan asked, what do we do now? The Dark Abyss is 30 kilometers away, and the area is covered by an ocean of undead. Now. Hanji looked into the distance and declared domineeringly, I'll lead you through. We'll break straight through the undead empire. Everyone swept their eyes over the super mages. Blood surged with excitement. The ancient capital's leadership moved swiftly. With Hanji, Zhu Meng, the Hunter King Du Zhao, Lu Zhu, Yao Ting, and other super mages as the spearhead, they were followed closely by elite high-order guardian mages and top military personnel. A massive formation of hundreds of mid-order mages formed their wings. For this battle, they had thrown in everything totaling several thousand personnel, each one at least an elite of the mid-order level. The Lu Jun siblings were among them, their position very close to the front just behind the super mages. Everyone, move out. At Hanji's command, thousands of people marched forth with great momentum onto the city walls. The mages left behind in the city spared no mana, fully covering the advancing force for a stretch. Boom. 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 Elemental legion formations unleashed colorful magic from the heavens, sweeping for several kilometers, annihilating vast numbers of undead. The super mage group had not yet acted, conserving their strength for the monarch-level creatures. High-order mages occasionally assisted, but the bulk of the advance relied on the mid-order mages. The army pushed forward like a landslide, crossing mountains and rivers. Their speed was swift. In no time, they had advanced several kilometers. From a high-altitude view, amidst the black ocean of undead, a faint blank trail was steadily moving forward. At first, they remained connected to the city wall. But once everyone had entered, the undead filled in behind them, severing their route completely cut off and without support. From this moment forward, the real danger began. Coincidentally, upon seeing this, the Ghost Brute Monarch in the distance dispatched several elite undead units to probe them. One was a towering, bulky corpse hill unit. Its slow steps made the ground tremble with each stride. Another was a bizarre and ethereal ghostly unit, floating forward with a sky-shrouding white mist. Within the fog were countless blurry ghost shadows. The final unit was composed entirely of glaringly white skeletal figures riddled with gaping holes exuding suffocating killing intent. These undead legions had no members below the warrior level. Chapter 239, The Three Great Legions. Lu Jun gazed into the distance. The three great undead legions advanced with overwhelming momentum. The warrior-level undead were twice as large as the servant-level ones, standing out like cranes in a flock of chickens amidst the dark, churning tide of the undead. A rough count revealed over 1,000 of them, each with unique traits and emitting different ominous auras of malevolence. They were led by 7 or 8 commander-level corpse ministers, bone ministers, and ghost ministers. As expected of the undead of the ancient capital assembling such a formidable force so easily. By the standards of commander-level tribes, it would take at least 10 average tribes to gather such numbers. Hanji wore a grave expression. Though their side had several times more mid-tier mages, clashing with these three great legions might still lead to instant collapse. A single warrior-level undead could take on several mid-tier mages, and once it charged, the destructive impact would be unstoppable. He scanned the surroundings. Mo Fan's group of 4 was surrounded by a protective formation of super-tier mages. They must not be mobilized, as their precious mana was reserved for use in the Dark Abyss. In the core circle were more than a dozen super-tier mages and 200 to 300 high-tier mages. Should we deploy the super-tier mages? Hanji began to weigh his options and started assigning tasks, saying, Du Zhao, you lead a team of high-tier mages to handle the Flesh Hill Corpse Minister Legion. Zhao, take your men to clear out the skeletal undead on the ground. As for the Ghost Fiend Legion. He hesitated. His orders were based on enemy matchups. The Flesh Hill and Bone Skeleton Legions could be countered by most magic, and there were alternate candidates. But the Ghost Fiend Legion without mind or curse magic, they'd suffer dearly. What's more, flight capability was also necessary. Just then, Lu Jun suddenly said, my sister and I will handle it. Hearing this, Hanji turned his gaze to the young man in the black gold coat before him, the hero of the ancient capital incident, and then to the cold and elegant female mage beside him. The aura she exuded was in no way inferior to a super-tier sovereign. With his strength, Hanji sensed the presence of the lesser monarch-level being inside Lu Mai. Zhang Feng's existence lay dormant deep within her. Hanji nodded. He wasn't focused on Lu Jun, but rather Lu Mai. He couldn't be bothered to question the flame which, after all, with full super-tier cultivation for so many years, what genius or fortune hadn't he seen? As long as they were useful. A lesser monarch was more than sufficient to suppress the Ghost Fiend Legion. Afterward, the army of several thousand mages split into 3 smaller battalions, pushing through the undead horde to strike the 3 great undead legions. Rumble. Du Zhao's mount, the azure-eyed behemoth, was the first to move. Its slow stride alone made the barren earth quake. The undead flooding forward like a tidal wave were effortlessly crushed into powder, like reefs resisting the current. The behemoth's mass and size were even greater than the Flesh Hill Corpse Ministers. At first contact, it directly hammered 2 30-meter-tall Corpse Ministers into the air. However, Du Zhao's individual power was still quite limited. Behind the Corpse Ministers, 300 flesh-covered warrior-level undead lined up, each spaced a dozen meters apart. Looking across the desolate land, they were like 300 fierce heavy-duty tanks charging in formation, raising a cloud of dust that resembled a yellow curtain of earth. Though the azure-eyed behemoth was formidable, if surrounded and gnawed on by the warrior levels and swarmed by servant-level undead like ants, even it might fall. This was precisely why Hanji led a full army to break through the undead empire instead of using only a few hundred elite and nimble high-tier squads for a surgical strike. Human mages had limited mana and needed cannon fodder to shield them, to clash with the undead's overwhelming numbers. Otherwise, facing 3 legions of warrior-level undead like now, they'd expend half their mana just dealing with it, paying an even steeper price. Fortunately, most of Du Zhao's team members were summoning element mages, and high-tier summoners excelled in large-scale battles. High-tier spell, Beast-Tide Summon. Gate after gate of moon-white dimensional doors stood tall, their surfaces inscribed with ancient, primitive beast runes. Out-thundered countless bizarre beast hordes. Wuo. Ruor. SSSHH. Holy armor white elephants, one-horned rhinos, earth dragons, and ground lizards. Each beast was massive and heavy, forming a lined-up front line no less imposing than the corpse horde. Each high-tier summoner could summon up to 40 beasts. Combined, the group summoned over 200 warrior-level beasts, each more elite individually. Boom. 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 Eventually, the 2 opposing beast tides collided, clashing violently with thunderous roars. Blood and flesh splattered into the sky. The brutal battlefield laid bare in all its savagery. With the Hunt King Du Zhao leading the charge, they took the upper hand. Large swaths of the beast horde devoured the undead, setting the tone for victory. On the other side, the Flying Horn Squad was also progressing smoothly. The high-level military mages were well-trained and highly organized, like a cold killing machine, actually clearing the battlefield the fastest. The densely packed skeletons were inherently fragile among the undead types. Under the slicing of wind element mages, they fell row by row, like harvesting rice. As for Lu Jun and his sister, their split team had the fewest members, only the 2 of them. They flew individually, heading toward the sky-shrouding white mist, filled with ghost shadows. Many mages who noticed this were extremely puzzled. Unbeknownst to them, Lu Jun was drooling with anticipation, full of confidence. Among all demon types, undead naturally had a high soul essence drop rate. And among undead, ghost-type creatures were the most intelligent, with an even higher drop rate. Lu Jun knew well that the ratio reached a shocking 30-to-1 for every 30 ghosts, 1 complete warrior-level soul essence would appear. Moreover, hundreds of warrior-level ghosts gathering together was exceedingly rare, only appearing in massive wars like this. For the current Lu Jun, with level 4 intermediate magic and a single thought star Mao level of control, wiping out slaves meant eliminating large groups, and even warrior-level enemies could be killed en masse. So why would he still stay among the ranks of human mages, instead of taking the initiative? At once, the 2 of them dove into the vast ghostly white mist. This fog, full of intense psychic temptation, could easily confuse even high-level experts. Yet with a single thought, psychic wall and psychic protection of elementary and intermediate levels were erected within their spiritual worlds, fully nullifying the effects. With the cover of the white mist, Lu Jun could now unleash his full power. Buzz. In the next moment, within the depths of the white fog, shadowy ghosts loomed everywhere. Their exact shapes and numbers were unclear, and terrifying ghostly wails echoed from all directions. Fear, resentment, and temptation overlapped, and along with the occasionally visible ghostly figures, created a hellish scene filled with clawing phantoms and demonic chaos. Just then, Lu Jun struck. Ghost punishment of a netherworld, Yin Mother Spectre swiftly crawled out from the curse well dimension. The tall female ghost in white hovered in midair. She spread her arms, embracing the siblings. Her beautiful face lifted, mouth splitting open to her ears, unleashing a silent banshee's wail. In the void, two waves of layered sound rippled against each other, spreading vast gray-white halos. Those were spiritual waves filled with hateful emotions. The Yin Mother Spectre resisted most of it. What remained fell onto the duo's spiritual fortresses like a spring breeze. Lu Jun hadn't relaxed yet when a ghostly pale shadow silently appeared behind the Yin Mother Spectre. With a sinister smile, it extended a giant ghost claw. Shadows writhed as it dug out the illusory heart of the white-clothed ghost. Splat! The Yin Mother Spectre let out a scream, gravely injured as her soul body turned blurry. With the black-red cavern behind Lu Jun as the center, her body twisted in a spiral and rapidly shrank back into the curse well dimension. With just one strike, despite her 4-tier spiritual strength and top-grade blood abyss curse reinforcement, the high-quality Yin Mother Spectre fell. A commander-level ghost marshal had appeared within the same tier. It was stronger than most other demon types. Yet Lu Jun grinned. The fish had taken the bait. At that moment, his sister Lumai suddenly turned around. She was clad in luxurious earth dragon scale armor, Medusa-like serpent patterns coiled down her arms, and her gray-white eyes sparkled with an exotic charm. Rock demon eyes, petrification. The ghostly commander tried to escape but was already too late, caught by the edge of the petrification force. Not to mention, before the Yin Mother Spectre dissipated, she had laid a trap using her Earth domain talent. Chapter 240, Slaughtering the Spectres. Crack. 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 The claws of the ghostly commander had entirely turned to stone, emanating a solid luster. Accompanied by faint cracking sounds, vast gray-white radiance spread out, and the petrification extended from its arms to its entire body. The Wraith Commander solidified into a stone statue suspended midair. Behind it, the mist shattered into large fragments and crumbled into mud, continuously shedding from its floating form. Lu Jun seized the opportunity and swiftly outlined a star map. In a single thought, he unleashed 2 meteor spells. Space Rift, Stacked Storm. This was his strongest offensive combo. Metal's Sharp Tribulation Aura combined with Space's defense-breaking amplification enough to injure even a tank-type commander. Buzz buzz buzz. A black gold dragon pattern sword shot up, transforming above his head into 21 interwoven streaks of black light. The golden sword aura surged, forming a platinum web that descended, its body flowing with noble silver patterns, almost seamlessly merged. The metallic storm spun rapidly, slicing through the void and leaving behind countless fine black cracks. In an instant, it shredded the stone statue of the pale ghost commander into powder. At the same time, the surrounding white mist surged violently, disturbed by the aura of apocalyptic death, creating a 100-meter radius vacuum as if filtered clean. Roar. Thousands of shattered stone pieces rained down. Threads of soul energy barely escaped the seals of the stone fragments and reassembled midair into a ghostly form the size of a small mountain. However, the soul form of the pale ghost commander was extremely faint, clearly having suffered heavy damage. Its emotional fluctuations brimmed with panic as it tried to drift away. Fortunately, it was a specter. Had it been a blood-flesh general, the sibling duo's pincer attack would have already ended it. But how could Lu Jun allow a cooked duck to fly away? His eyes flashed black and white. From the center of his brow, an illusory psychic sword burst forth. A streak of brilliance shot out. Time and space froze. Eternal light rain danced as it instantly pierced through the wraith. Boom. The already heavily wounded soul form of the pale ghost commander exploded on the spot. A mass of white mist hissed and scattered. At the original spot, a fragment of a ghost moon condensed and slowly descended, merging into the white tiger pendant. Lu Jun took a moment to look inward and was slightly pleased. As expected of a ghost-type demon, though lacking materials like alien bones and blood, the exchanged soul essence was of very high quality. Even as a remnant soul, the energy it contained far exceeded that of a typical commander level. Within the white mist, because the commander had been killed too quickly, countless ghostly shadows stirred in all directions. A sharp scream came from another wraith general hidden in the deepest part, seemingly furious. The next moment, hundreds of ghostly figures surged forth. White shadows flickered in a terrifying spectacle, like a tide of demonic spirits. Lu Jun's expression turned icy. He released magic, striking preemptively using death to stop death. Above the two of them, the nether realm opened. Layer upon layer of spiderwebs descended, weaving into a black-red cursed well world that engulfed the approaching ghosts. The cursed well instantly hoisted up dozens of fierce ghosts. These creatures hung like puppets on strings. Coupled with a dim black-red background, it resembled a haunting and eerie gothic opera house. Then, with a thought, 21 flying swords darted through the evil spiderwebs, stirring up a shrill storm. Boom. 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 As the dark sword aura slashed through warrior-level ghosts, streaks of gray-white tribulation aura were triggered, tearing the ghostly bodies and making them explode on the spot. Rows upon rows of ghost shadows fell like mown grass. In mere moments, dozens were exterminated. On the other side, Lumai was no less formidable. Her body was engulfed in golden red flames. Star maps of flame intersected, forming fire element constellations, unleashing a torrential rain from the heavens. A large expanse of dazzling golden fire cloud spread through the mist. The scorching heat quickly invaded the fog, burning with a searing hiss. Outside, many mages looked up and saw the blazing red evening glow in the sky, stunned. Dozens of towering warrior-level ghost spirits bathed in the sea of flames. Overhead, fireballs rained down like meteorites. With sixfold amplification from a top-tier soul flame, all were turned into humanoid fireballs. The screams of ghost demons echoed through the sky as they were incinerated into ashes, drifting down in a grey shower. Such combat strength was expected of the high-tier. Mofan's high-tier fire with a soul seed could also instantly kill over a dozen warrior-class foes. The sibling pair's wave of slaughter directly wiped out over 100 warrior-level ghost spirits faster than the other two battlefields. Of course, if Du Zhaofjiao were willing to expend a large amount of magic energy to cast a super-tier spell, a single skill might annihilate an entire legion. But they had to conserve magic energy. Buzz buzz buzz. Strands of soul essence and remnants rose into the air, all converging into the white tiger pendant. Lu Jun didn't have time to observe. A large number of ghost warriors followed close behind, the terrifying aura they gathered surging like a tidal wave. 200 warrior-class undead attacking together, even super-tier mages would find it troublesome. Human bodies were just too fragile. He didn't dare to face them head-on. With a thought, the ghost mother emerged, enveloped him, and they turned into a gust of wind, diving underground. His sister was even faster. Wings fluttered behind her, her figure agile and graceful, weaving effortlessly through the gaps. Deep within the ghost mist, one of the ghost lieutenants was extremely cunning. After seeing its companions suffer heavy losses and fall, it did not show itself easily. Now, sensing an opportunity, its ghostly figure finally appeared, silently sneaking up behind Lumai. It revealed a sinister grin and extended a massive claw to dig out her heart. At that moment, Lumai let out a soft laugh. Her alluring figure overlapped with another silhouette, an endless sea of flame surged out, and an overwhelming monarch's pressure exploded forth. The flame witch shed her shell and spun around, seizing the ghost lieutenant's massive claw. She cast her demonic magic, and within several hundred meters, a forest of fiery maple leaves sprang up. As crimson leaves drifted down, the mountainous ghost lieutenant was slowly incinerated into nothingness, completely unable to resist. With the fall of the two leading ghost lieutenants, the ghost army wavered. Many ghost generals showed signs of panic. Lu Jun surfaced from underground, mercilessly beating the fallen enemies while they were down. He wielded his space, metal, curse, and psychic magic effortlessly, slaughtering the remaining 200 ghost warrior. Within the white tiger pendant, a massive amount of soul essence flowed in. Combined with the million-scale battlefield below, the blood lake surged to new heights. Roughly counting, 7 complete warrior-class soul essences and 3 merged from fragments, 10 warrior-class soul essences in total. Seeing this, Lu Jun was overjoyed. If he used them to upgrade high-tier spells, he could strengthen 100 level 4 stars. If used for basic tier, reaching level 5 would be easy. The undead battlefield truly was a treasure trove for collecting soul essences. But he chose neither. None of his high-tier elements were fully mastered to level 3, and upgrading basic tier spells now would be wasteful. 7 complete warrior-class soul essences could be sold for over 100 million. That would be more than enough to buy a galaxy vein. He had a hunch after the ancient capital expedition, a massive breakthrough awaited him. Mastery over all high-tier spells wasn't far off. Moments later, the 3 separate squads each eliminated 1 undead legion and quickly regrouped. Within the team, the high-tier mages looked at Lu Jun and his sister with newfound reverence. Mofan's expression was one of surprise. Had he been dropped into any of the 3 legions, his chances of survival would have been slim, let alone wiping them out this quickly. Unknowingly, the siblings from Bo City had already developed the aura of true powerhouses, capable of carrying the banner of humanity and fighting at the front lines of the Demon Empire. Hanji nodded solemnly and gave a firm command, "Full army, advance quickly."